Welcome back to the Blue Chip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull, and today's video is going to be on the matchup between the Tennessee Volunteers and the Texas A&M Aggies. Number one thing that I want to look at is Tennessee's offense versus Texas A&M's defense. First key to this is going to be for the offense to identify Texas A&M's defensive front. Now, they're very multiple. They got 3 down linemen, 4 down linemen. They bring a lot of people up to the line of scrimmage, and they can bring pressure from a lot of different places. So we have to make sure that we know who's blocking who, what hole we're supposed to be running through, what routes we're supposed to be running. We all just have to be on the same page so that we can execute a high tempo offense like we're supposed to up under Josh Heupel, which leads me to the second point, which is tempo, tempo, tempo. We've got to keep this thing going fast because Texas A&M, they've got a lot of really good defensive line players. And I mean, they've got probably 8 of them. So they can come in waves. What we have to do is we have to get them tired early on, especially in Neyland with all that crowd noise. We've got to take them out of it, get them gassed early. That's going to be a huge key to this game for sure. Next key is going to be to get positive yards in the rush game. Now, this sounds obvious, but what I mean by this is Texas A&M mostly plays 3 defensive linemen down. So whenever you see 3 linemen down, usually there are some creases for you to be able to get some positive rush yards. It may only be 2 to 3 yards, but if we hit those holes hard and if we just continue to get positive yards, we can stay ahead of the sticks and we can do other things in our offense. This is critical. We have to do this. Also, Joe Milton is going to have to use his legs. We may see a couple of quarterback design runs in this game. If we do, I believe it will probably be between the tackles. Not quite sure how healthy Joe Milton's knee is, so not 100% sure if we'll see it or not, but that would be a great thing to add into this offense just to keep Texas A&M's defense off balance somewhat. Now, speaking of Joe Milton, he has to have a fast internal clock. Absolutely critical in this game that he does not hold on to that football for too long. Texas A&M's coming in with the most sacks per game in the entire country, and I believe they're tied with our Tennessee Volunteers. We have got to get that ball out. 1, maybe 2 reads. If it's not there, Joe, you got to run or you got to throw it away. You got to do something, but you cannot stand in that pocket flat-footed and expect for this offensive line to hold up the entire game. Texas A&M's defensive front is just too good for that. We cannot have it. And now for the last key for this offense. It's going to be to win one-on-one battles on the outside. Not quite sure what type of a defense Texas A&M will play against us. Last week against Bama, we saw a lot more of a 3-4 defense. They did bring a lot of pressure, and they tried to force Milroe into hitting his one-on-one matchups. And guess what? Milroe had a career day doing it. I think that Joe Milton is a much better quarterback than Milroe is, especially passing. I think that this is an area where Tennessee has got to be efficient at. If we are, we'll have a lot of success. Expect to see people running wide open down the field because Texas A&M secondary is not that great. Part of the reason that I'm not sure that they would roll the dice and play straight man coverage and bring so much pressure against this offense, especially knowing that this offense is going to be more productive in the passing game than what Alabama usually is. This was one that really favors Tennessee pretty heavily. Now let's flip it over to defense. All right, so the number one thing that Tennessee needs to do on defense is read their keys. P and I talked about it in previous videos. Texas A&M has a tendency to tip their hand to what they're doing, whether it's the offensive line, whether it's the running backs, wide receivers. You can see it in the way that they line up, a lot of different things. But every player on defense has a certain position or a certain key or certain keys that they are watching. We've got to be very disciplined in doing that and identifying what Texas A&M is going to do. They're going to pretty much be consistently doing what they normally do, which leads me to my second point, and that is Tennessee has got to play fast on defense. Texas A&M likes to pull their offensive linemen. I don't think that their linemen fit that scheme very well. They're a little bit slower, and I think that with Tennessee's speed up front, whether it's on that line or whether it's with our linebackers, we have the speed to be able to beat them to the point of contact, to the spot. Expect a lot of big lost plays if we can pin our ears back, identify what that play is, and play fast. We can win a lot, whether it's in the run game or in the pass game. We can get some sacks as well. Next key is going to be to get constant pressure. Now, this is a lot easier said than done. Again, Tennessee is one of the best pass rushing teams in this entire country. Whether we get pressure with 4 or whether we have to blitz, it doesn't matter. Max Johnson is not an accurate quarterback under pressure. He just isn't. If we can flush him out to his right, expect for him to run because he's a left-handed quarterback. We've seen this on film. Whenever he flushes out to his left, there's probably about a 20% probability that he's going to attempt a pass. But when he does, the passes are never accurate. He just is not accurate under pressure, period. Even if we leave people wide open, as long as it's not in his general field of view, he's not going to make an accurate pass. So I would roll the dice a lot if I'm Tim Banks in this game and blitz 60 to 70% of the time. All right, so the fourth key for Tennessee's defense in this game is going to be to tackle. Tackle, tackle, tackle. We've got to come and wrap up, make good, sound tackles. Texas A&M has a lot of really good playmakers on the outside. They've got some great running backs. They've got some great wide receivers. They've got guys who can make a lot of things happen with the football in their hands. We have to stop them before they can get going. Doesn't have to be a big, huge hit. Come up, wrap up, hold them until your teammates can get there. And if you can do that, we'll be very successful against their offense. Next point is to attack the football or no deep balls, maybe a little bit of both. But mainly my whole point in saying this is I believe that Tim Banks is going to manufacture some type of pressure on Max Johnson on a consistent basis. And when we do that, he is going to give us some passes. He's going to throw the ball to us. So we've got to attack the ball in the air. This is a good opportunity for our secondary to sit on some passes, maybe bait Max a little bit and get some interceptions. This is an opportunity with Eric Berry in the stands for us to possibly get multiple interceptions, multiple turnovers. I can definitely see that happening. But on the flip side of that coin, if we are unable to get that consistent pressure, if we're not getting home, if we're not getting close to getting home, or if Max Johnson is looking a little bit more accurate under that pressure, then we've got to contain them. We've got to stay on top of routes. We cannot let them get any deep balls, no big plays, which brings us back to one of our other previous points, and that's to tackle. If that's the way that we're going to be playing, if we're keeping everything in front of us, our secondary especially, but everybody has got to come up, hold their guys up if they do make a catch, and keep those plays to a minimum. Do not let them run free. Don't let them get behind us at all, period. And now that leads us to the last point for Tennessee's defense against Texas A&M's offense, and that is to stay at home. Another thing that we've talked about in previous videos, Texas A&M really likes to do a little bit of blocking with the tight ends, with the running backs, let those guys come out late on wheel routes, on post routes. It's deeper routes. Those routes are usually wide open. There's nobody around those guys for 20, 30 yards. And if they get it to the right person, they can run for a long time. So it is very, very critical that we are, again, reading our keys, playing good fundamental football, and staying at home. If we have a zone play to the left flats, we've got to play in the left flats until somebody comes off field and shows that they are running. We've got to stay at home. As long as we can do these things on defense, we'll have a lot of success. Not too worried about us on defense at all. I think that the biggest question is, can our offense be productive against what's been a very stout defense throughout this entire season? This is the best team that we've played this season by far. It's going to be a really tough challenge. And now that leads us to our final phase of the game, and that is special teams. This one is really simple, man. Don't kick the ball to them at all. We would much rather kick the ball out of bounds on kickoff, take that penalty, than even have the opportunity for these guys to return it. If we kick the ball to them, they can make us pay for sure. I've seen that in every single game. These guys are playmakers, big time playmakers. Now, with that being said, okay, I know that special teams, these guys are probably not going to want to take that chance and kick the ball out of bounds. The one thing that I will say, if we are punting, is to left foot that punt on that rugby style. Give our guys some time to get downfield. Number 0 has done a whole lot of fumbling that football, and really their other guys have too. So we could have an opportunity there to get some turnovers. But let's just make sure, again, that we tackle if we kick the ball to them. Good fundamentals throughout this entire game, and I think that Tennessee should be able to win at home. All Vol fans, if you're going to this game, not spectating. You're there to do a job. Get it loud, keep it loud, stay engaged in that game, similar to the South Carolina game, but this one needs to be even louder. This is a much better team, and if we can do that, Vols come out on top. Not going to do a prediction yet. We'll do that on Saturday once I have Pete on with me, and we will predict some other games. Thank y'all as always for tuning into this channel. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment, and let us know what y'all's keys to the game is, and we will catch y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.